Hello everyone and welcome to today's session of Adobe Photoshop for everyone. In today's section, we are going to be talking about Photoshop interface and workspaces. So basically, we are going to be looking at an introduction to Photoshop interface and workspaces. And in this module, we are going to be looking at how to create a document in Photoshop, exploring the Photoshop interface, making some necessary settings for our workflow, creating workspaces in Photoshop, and then finally I'll walk you through my recommended setup or workspace for flyer design in Adobe Photoshop. So without wasting much time, let's begin. So let's all open up our Photoshops and then we'll have the session together. So when you first open Photoshop, this is the interface that you'll be greeted with. You have this landing page. That is if you are opening Photoshop for the very first time. But then if you've already worked on projects, you might have the project templates shown on your dashboard as recent files. However, if you are just a beginner and then you've just installed Photoshop, this is the interface you should be looking at. Yes, so we are going to start the first model, which is how to create a document in Photoshop. So how do we create documents in Photoshop? There are so many ways you do that. We can use the shortcut commands, and then also we have the file menu approach. Yeah, so for today's session, we are going to be looking at the file menu approach, which majority of you will be conversant with using in the long run. And then when we get familiar with the concepts, then we can move on with applying the shortcut keys. Yes, so with the file menu approach, as we can see here, we have two buttons here, which is open, and then we also have what, new file. So the new file button here, as you can see, that's where the focus is where we create a new document from. That's one approach. And then also a second approach is we have a file menu here, or a file option here. You simply click on it and then you have a drop down here. In the drop down here, you can also click on what's new to create a new document. Yes, so I'm going by the new file method, or the button which is right here, so we can move on. So let's all click on new file option here, and then we'll be greeted with this screen. So this is basically a landing page for you to make the necessary settings for your document. That is the document you are going to be working on, your flyer in this case. And that document is called a canvas. Canvas is basically the region of space you do your flyer design on. And when you export, whatever you put on that canvas is what will be shown to the audience. Yes, so right now we have some basic templates here, and then Adobe Photoshop has some default dimensions that you can use. As you can see, we have the custom is the one that you've used for your previous projects. So I've used the 1080 pixels by 1080 pixels dimension for a flyer design. That is why you are seeing it here. Then also we have you can have HDTV 1080 pixels dimension. Also, if you want to see, we have some saved dimensions here. Let's say when you are working on a project and then you have some specific dimensions for it, you can save it and then it will be shown here. Whenever you open Photoshop, you just go there and load it up. Also, we have some presets for photo dimensions, which are those you are seeing here, so you can explore them. We have landscape 3x2, we have landscape 6x4 in that order. We have portraits, we have portrait 2x3, portrait 2x4. Then also under print and media, we have letter, we have legal, then we have our usual A4 sheets here. So if you are going to work on something like a letterhead, for instance, you would need to use an A4 sheet. You don't have to go by googling the dimension for an A4 sheet. You can basically come and then load it up from here. And once you click on it, you observe that there are some changes here. Yes, so the changes here are basically the dimensions that have been updated. Yes, so all these ones, we also have mobile. When Photoshop was used for web design, we had all these web interfaces, but then lately is becoming defunct. Yes, we are no more using Photoshop for web or UI design. And also The same thing when it was used for UI design, we had phone screens here. Yeah, so if you want to design for mobile interface, maybe you are working on an application and then you want to design the interface of the application, that is the UI, or yeah, the UI of the application. You can basically come here and then choose the presets screen sizes, but then these are becoming something like vestigial organs. Yes. So let's focus on having explored the custom templates or dimensions that Photoshop has given us. Let's focus on how we create our own. Yes. So looking at the right side here, we have um, we have untitled document here. That is the name of your document. Whenever you are working in Photoshop and then you want to give the name to your document, that is where you simply, like when you are creating the document from the beginning, that's basically where you type the name of the document in. But in most cases, designers, we don't do that. We like, you even get to the workspace, start working on your flyer, then you remember that you've not saved your work, then you come and then save and give it name. But it is always advisable to give it a name here. So let's say this is our introduction to Photoshop for everyone. So you can just write day 1 here. Sorry, let's say day 2. We are on day 2, so you can write day 2 here. And then here we have the width of the document, the width of the flyer. How like wide do we want our flyer to be? You see, we have so many dimensions. You see some flyers, they are vertical, that is, they are portrait. You see some flyers, they are landscape. You see some flyers, they are square shaped in that order. Yes, so basically that you use the width and height here to choose your dimension. So if you want a square flyer, then that means that your height and dimension, height and width should all be the same. And if you want a landscape flyer, your width should be higher than your height. And if you want a portrait flyer, your height should be greater than your width, in that order. So for the purpose of this tutorial, we are not going to work on any flyer. We are just learning how to create the document from beginning or from scratch. I would like to choose I would like to set the width to 1080 pixels and then the height to something like 1920. So we have 1920 by 10. So in this case, since our the height is more than the width, we are going to have a portrait design. And then beside it, we can see we have some inches button, some units here. You can basically, that's basically where you choose the units for your dimensions. So the dimensions is kind of like distance. So, and distance is measured in some units. We have centimeters, we have meters, we have inches, we have millimeters. Yes, so in design, generally, the unit of measurement is pixel. And pixel is the smallest indivisible particle of, let's say, a picture. The name pixel is just a combination of picture and then the word element. So picture element. So basically it is an element of a picture. It forms part of a picture and it is the smallest indivisible particle of a picture. That's pixel. So it is most recommended for print, design, and then any design you are working on that will be shown on different screens. It is advisable you keep your dimension on pixels. However, you can go wayward. You can choose inches, which I mostly work with inches. But then the most recommended one is pixels in this case. So I'm maintaining the pixels here. But whenever you want, some of our designs along the course will be using inches. But I also maybe dedicate a video to like the importance of using pixels over inches and the vice versa. Yeah. Then after that, we have this section that says resolution. Resolution refers to like the concentration of the pixels per unit area on a picture. So let's say you have a 2:6 picture. What is the concentration of pixels within that dimension that you've specified, which is a 2:6? So the higher the concentration of the pixels, the higher the quality of the image, or the higher the quality. When you export it, the higher the quality of the image. Yes, so I always keep this way up to like 300 pixels, but for extremely bigger documents, you would want to keep it at a lower value, say 72 pixels. In this case, it will help save the file size, your file size. Yes, so the higher the resolution, the bigger the file size as well. Then we have by it, we have pixels slash inches. Usually we don't touch anything here. And here we have the color mode. When you are designing for just mobile devices, or you are just designing for the media, it is most recommended you use the RGB color mode. But then when you are designing for print, something work you are going to print out, say t-shirts, banners that are going to be printed out, it is most recommended you design in the CMYK color mode, which is what the printers understand better. Then beside it, we have 8-bit. This you don't even touch that. Then here, the white you are seeing here is actually the background color, the color for the canvas you are going to be working on. Yes, so mostly we keep the default setting to white. If you want to change the background color, you do it as part of your creative work. Yes, you just don't leave the plain white background for all your flyers. You actually create your own backgrounds, so it's not necessary choosing any color for it. So keep that one to on white. Then we have the color profile, we don't touch that. We also have pixels aspect ratio, we don't touch that. So basically this is the settings you need for a project. That is the width and height. The width and height are actually usually mostly it is specified by the client, but if he or she doesn't know what he or she is doing, then you choose your dimension. Yes, or it is usually sometimes you can choose dimension based on the information given, how like the elements you are going to consider in your design, how you are going to align them. Yes, that will help you to choose the correct dimension for your design. Then the unit too is not really that important, the resolution. So basically these are the setups you need for creating a new document. Once you are satisfied with this, you come to the bottom right here, yes, the bottom right here, and then you click on the create button here. So once you click on create, you'll be landed on this page, and this will be your default workspace. So when you open Photoshop for the very first time, this is the interface you are going to see. You have color here, you have some properties here, some layers. We'll talk about this later in the later part of this same video, but let's keep our focus on the left hand side for now. Yeah, so we are going to be talking about the interface. Now we've learned how to create a document in Photoshop. Now we are going to explore the interface of Photoshop. Now let's consider the topmost bar here. We have we call it the menu bar, where we have the file, we have edit, we have image, we have layer. These are like menu options. Whenever like you are working on a fly, each of these contain some details or information that you'll be coming to pick once in a while, like features. Let's say you are working on a picture, you want some filters for it, you can come and choose camera raw filter here. You can choose distort, blur, you can do a lot of things. You can add noise from here. Then view, you can choose your guides and all those things from here. So that is basically what this top menu is used for. And then just below it, we have the options bar or the control bar. Some call it the options bar, some call it the control bar. If you look at it carefully, like whenever you select a tool along the left hand side here, that place gets updated. So basically it keeps information about the tool you are currently working on. Yes, so whenever you are working on a tool, you have to keep your eyes on that section. It gives you information about the tool you are working on. So currently we are on the move tool. That's why we are seeing all these options align, which are kind of grayed out because we don't have anything on our canvas for now. Yes, so once you add elements and then you select elements, you'll be able to use these features. Also, when you select the next tool, maybe the eyedropper, you see that the options bar gets changed. Now these are details or information about the eyedropper tool. Yes, so like whenever you are working on Photoshop, you have to keep your eye on this control bar or this options bar. It gives you more information about the tools you are going to be working on. Then right below it, we have the document tab. The document tab actually it gives you information about, or the name and title about the document you are currently working on. So as you can see, when we're creating the documents, we specify that the document name should be day 2. That is because we gave it a name. If we decided not to give it a name, then we have something like untitled documents. So this actually shows you the active documents that are opened in Photoshop. So since we have only one active document, that is what we are seeing here. If I decide to create another document or open a picture, let me just try to open something on my PC. No, sorry. Let me use the open method. I'll just open something up so that you understand what I'm saying. Yes, so let's just open this picture up. And once what you've observed is that we have another like tab added to the previous tab. So this was the first tab and this is the second tab here. So each tab represents a document you are working on. So in this case, this picture becomes a document on its own, and this the 2 documents we created from the beginning also becomes a document on its own. Yes, so basically that is how the document tab works. Then at the left side, extreme left side here, we have the tools bar. The tools bar contains the various tools that we are going to be working with. That's one of the most important tools in Photoshop. Like that's basically where that's your tool set. You understand? Good. So we'll be coming to this panel quite often, picking tools, the selection tools, the eyedropper tools, the pen tool, the shape tool, the text tool, the brushes, all of them, they are found on this tool. We'll not be talking about this tool for today. We'll explore the functions of all the individual tools we have in this toolbar in their respective videos. But today, I just want you to know that this is the toolbar, and it contains the tool that we are going to be working with. And the tools currently shown are not the only tools that the toolbar has. If you look closely on each of the tools here, you notice we have a small rectangle at the bottom there. Yes, so when you like press and hold a tool, it gives you more options. So now we have what these options shown, or you can basically just right click on the tool and then you have the sub tools under that tool. So Photoshop actually groups the tools based on their similarities, like their functions, how closely their functions are, and then it groups them. So the first icon you are seeing here is just one of the tools, and several of them are behind the scene. So to get access to it, you just right click on it and then you have those tools shown. You can choose them and then work with them. Yeah, so basically that's what the tools bar is. Now when you look at the bottom left here, we have this white and black squares. The white and black squares here represent the foreground and then the background color. The black actually, the topmost color is the foreground color. Foreground color is basically an element you place on the design. What is the color of that element? And the background is what the background color of for now, that is the background color of our workspace, which is white. Yes, so the black one represents the foreground color and the white one represents the background color. Now if you notice at the top there, we have some two-sided arrows. Yes, so this arrow is used to toggle between the background color and then the foreground color. So when once you click on it, you notice that the colors get swapped. Yes, or they get changed. That's basically you are swapping the background color with the foreground color. Maybe you set white as your background color, but then you and then blue as your foreground color, but then you realize that I think the blue will work better on the background than the white, and the white will work better on the foreground. So you just decide to come and then use this button to switch it. Also, if you notice at the top of the color swapping tool, at the top of it we have these 3 dots. When you right click on it and then you click once, you have this option shown. This we are greeted with this screen. Now basically this screen contains so many other tools that Photoshop has not been able to place under the toolbar. Photoshop gives you a lot of tools, as I've said earlier on, to work with, and then some of those tools are not being shown here. They are hidden behind the scenes. So using these three dots will give you access to those tools, so you can use them to your advantage or in your design workflow. Yeah, so basically that is what the three dots down there does. So whenever you are looking for a tool and then you can't find it, or whenever you need a particular tool for a particular job and then you can't find it, this place should be your go-to in order to search for that tool. So let me just close this so we can get back to work. Yes, so still continuing from the bottom left there, we have this percentage values you are seeing here. Yes, so basically that shows you how zoomed in or how zoomed out your document is. So currently I'm zoomed to 30.99%. If I want to zoom it to like 100%, I'll just need to like increase the value here, like type in the number that I want to, or maybe I want to zoom it to 80%. I just have to put in 80, and then you observe that the document has been zoomed in, like it has been zoomed in to 80%. If you want to zoom back again, you just reset the value back. But then this is a painful process. I usually just zoom in and out with my mouse, like just this way. Yeah, so you would want to consider doing that with your mouse instead of setting the values there. Then still at the bottom left there, we have this like 1080 pixels by 19. Yes, so basically this tab here gives you more information about your document, and when you right click on it, you see that you have some details about the current document you are working on, which says the width of the document is 1080 pixels. That was basically what we set when we are creating the document. And then the height of the document, 1920 pixels, which was also what we set during the creation of the document. Also, we have some detailed information about the color and then the resolution. Yes, so these are values you actually passed in when you were creating the document. So it's really not necessary like checking them out when you are working. But then it's very important that you know what that site is used for or what it represents. Yes, so basically we are done with the left hand section or left half of the interface. So now let's consider the other right half of the interface, which contains the panels, the windows, and then the layers. So basically when you open Photoshop for the very first time, this is the interface that you'll be greeted with. You have this the workspace, we have the color here, we have the properties here, and then we have the layers here. Yeah, so all these ones are called windows or panels, and they contain properties that we can use in one way or the other to affect objects that we place on the canvas here. Yeah, so it is very good you have a good layout for your workspace or your interface, so that you can easily get to the frequently used tools, and then also you get away with the tools that you don't use often. And by default, Photoshop does the work for us. Like when you open Photoshop for the very first time, it assumes that maybe you are using Photoshop for graphics design, so that is why it is giving you this interface. There are actually people that use Photoshop for 3D printing, for 3D design, for typography, and the rest of the other stuff. So all their workspaces, Photoshop has automatically created for all those uh, purposes. And if you look at the top right corner here, we have a button here. When you click on it, we have these options here. Those are the various workspaces that Photoshop by default creates for various workflows. So we have the 3D, those who do 3D, this is the workspace Photoshop recommends for them. Those who use Photoshop for painting, this is the workspace it suggests for them. And then those who use Photoshop for typography, this is the workspace it suggests for them. Yes, so we are staying on the default workspace that Photoshop offers us, which is the Essentials workspace here. So the Essentials workspace actually contains this the color here, we have the properties here, and then the layers here. So this is the workspace that is suitable for our graphics design. But then it's not really that suitable as in the sense that some of the tools aren't arranged, or the panels aren't arranged the way we want them to be arranged. We have panels that we frequently goes to, those that we seldom go to, and those that we rarely go to. Yes, so we have to customize this to suit our own need. Yes. So in order to do that, I'm going to be talking about in this aspect. I'm going to be talking about how to like customize Photoshop for your design workflow, and that will be my recommendation for the rest of this course for us all to be on the same page. Yes, so let's pay attention to that. Now, each of these windows you are seeing here are floating windows, and if you remember, one of the features of or importance of Photoshop in my introductory video, I said it's very flexible. You can actually I mean change the layout, drag out windows and then place them where you want them to be in order to increase your productivity. Yes, so that's the flexibility I was talking about. Yes, so if you notice, we can actually grab each of these windows, but just by grabbing the name, we can drag it out and then place it inside the in the workspace here. And basically that's usually how some people, like by weird nature, some people work in Photoshop. They have their the panels or the windows floating and then they just use them. But for me, as you can see, when I zoom in, it covers some of the content. It's not visible enough, so I really don't like this. It's a mess. Yeah, so I want us to customize it to suit our workflow. Which tools or panels do we often use? Which ones don't we use? So that whenever we so that to make our work easy. Yes, let's just put it that way. Yes, so I always want to keep my properties panel open. The properties panel is basically the panel that gives you details about the object you are currently working on, be it an image, be it a shape, be it an icon or whatever. It gives you the color, the dimension, maybe a font, the angle, the rotation, all those information. You can find it in the panel, the properties panel here. Yes, so for that matter, the property panel is always supposed to be open, or in my recommendation, is always supposed to be opened. And then also we have this panel at the bottom left here called the layers panel, the channels and paths. It is currently snatched to the bottom, so it doesn't look nice at all. It is a very important tool that we'll be using, so it's good we bring a focus to it. So notice when I click once on it, it pops up, and then now below it here we have this other we have adjustment layers, we have adding new layers, deleting layers, and whatever. So they were all hidden. Now we have access to them. So these two layers, these two panels, the properties panel and the layers panel, are the two most important panels here. I always want to be visible, because whenever you bring an object into the workspace, it creates its own layer, and you want to know which layer you are working on. So it's good you have a snapshot of that information at the layers panel here. Yes, so let's keep an eye on it. Now, since we have our properties panel on top there and then the layers panel down there, that is basically how I always want my arrangement to be. Now, what do we do with these floating like panels that are messed up? So what we do is that I always keep those panels on the column here. Yes, on if you notice this column here, that's where I always keep those panels. And as you can see, there are already some panels clipped to it. Once you click on those windows, you have some more information about it. Yeah, so these are rarely used tools, and then in order to like keep our workspace organized, we want to keep them at places where they don't obstruct us, and whenever we need them, we'll go for them. It isn't that we are discarding them, we're just placing them at where they are supposed to be. Yes, so starting with the color, I would like to put the color here. Yes, some give priority to color because in design you always deal with color, but then any object you draw, the color, or anything you bring into the workspace here, the color information is shown by the properties panel. So there's no need keeping the color panel always open too. Yes, that's why I always keep it here. Then you do the same thing. Now when you want to place a panel, you observe that when you drag it here, you notice some blue lines. There are two lines, blue lines, that you can see right now. Yes, so the vertical one, when you leave it, it means that it is going to create a full column for that panel too, and that is not what you want. So you move further, and then you have this square blue lights, and that is perfect where you are supposed to release it. So you drop it there, then you do same for the rest of the panels. And as you can see, these are just a few panels that we have for our design, but Photoshop offers us with so many, like lots of panels that we can use. If by chance you don't find any panel that you want on these panels or these windows, you can go to the Windows panel here, and then all the panels are here. You can scroll all the way to the bottom here to access all the panels. So let's assume that we need the paths panel. I think it's already here. Maybe we need navigator. You just click on it, and then you have it added to the column panels here, or the column windows right here. Those panels here. Yeah, so basically that is how you create your own workspace. So I've organized this workspace in such a way that now I have my priority panel, or my priority window, which is the properties window, also the layers panel here. Those are my priority ones organized, and also the adjustment here, you keep it there. As for the libraries, will not even use it. So let me just close it. Yes, you can actually just totally close a panel, but if you want it, you can still go to the windows, and here we have what libraries. You just click on it once, and then you bring it back. Yeah, so for now, this is the interface I want. Now you notice that I've saved my interface as what, my workspace as impure sample. So how do you save yours too? In order to save your workspace, once you are satisfied with the layout, you go to new workspace, and then you simply type in the name of the workspace. So let's assume that we are giving this workspace the name day 2 or day 3, like, or just my workspace. Let me just call it my workspace. Yes, so why should you save your workspace? Maybe a friend takes your laptop, and then the person doesn't know how to use Photoshop, so the person just comes in and then messes everything up, drag the panels floating everywhere, and then you come and you're like, what's this? So like, how do you solve it? Yes, so when you save your workspace, it's actually easier. You just go back to the panel here, the drop down here, then you look for the workspace that you saved, which was what, my workspace, which is currently selected, and then you have the default settings restored to your workspace in that order. Yes, so that's basically why you should save your workspace. And whenever you are not satisfied with a workspace, you want to delete it. Maybe I want to delete this practice workspace. I'll just go to this place, make sure that that practice workspace is selected. Then you just hit on what, delete workspace. It will ask you to confirm, and then you just hit on what, delete. Then the workspace will be gone forever. Yes, so basically that is how to create and name your own workspaces, and how to delete workspaces. Thank you very much for joining the session. See you next time.